So yeah, the first thing I gotta say about this is, fuck this movie. So I had the grand pleasure, or lack thereof, of going to see the Child's Play remake 2 days ago with a friend. And it's funny because originally we were planning on going to see Toy Story 4, but I had to stop by the store, and unfortunately the line was too long, and we ended up missing the show that we wanted to go see. And so he said, you know what, let's just go see Child's Play instead. And I was like, whatever, okay. I wanted to see that anyway because I'm a fan of the original film, at least the first two. And so we went in there. The theater was practically empty because this movie is in its second week of release or whatever, and box office wise it hasn't done very well, and that's of no surprise after seeing this whatever the hell this monstrosity was supposed to be. And so we're sitting in the theater, the movie is in its intro, and the movie starts to get bad as soon as they show Chucky's design. I don't know who the fuck green-lighted this new design for Chucky, but it is horrible. It's trash. That new design sucks. It's bad. And it's like if I compare the new design to the original Chucky, this new version doesn't even look like a doll. Like the skin on the doll actually looks somewhat lifelike. It's very offsetting. And then the way they have his face designed is just, it looks terrible. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And see, the movie tries to make a few different jokes with Chucky, but because the design of the character is so bad, it just comes off as laughable, but in the worst way possible. It's not that it's so bad that it's funny, it's so bad that it's just bad. And then they have the mother character in this movie, played by Aubrey Plaza, I believe her name is. The only other thing that I've seen her in is the Legion TV show, the X-Men spinoff. And it's like, why would you cast an actress like Aubrey Plaza to be in this movie? She doesn't look like anybody's mother. She looks like a 20-year-old hot college chick. It's like, it's just a joke. And then the kid or whatever who's playing Andy, in fact, all the kids in this movie, it's like, if you look at the original film, Andy in the original film looks like he's of an appropriate age to be playing with a toy like Chucky. But in this new version, these kids look like they're about 10 years old. Why the hell would you buy a toy like that for a kid that's that age? It doesn't make any sense to me. In fact, because Chucky's design looks so horrifying in this movie, why would any parent in their right mind buy something like that for their child? If anything, it would just scare the hell out of them. And once again, it's like if I compare the new Chucky to the original design from the original film, the original Chucky actually looks like an actual children's toy. But now I'm going to get into some of the real problems that this movie has. First of all, the comedy does not work in this movie at all. Like I said earlier, they try and throw a few jokes into the script or whatever, and it does not work at all. And this remake was the chance for them to move Chucky away from that comedic persona that the character became known for in the sequels. But they don't do that, and it's a huge wasted opportunity. Then, I didn't like any of the characters in this movie. My friend and I, we were sitting in the theater and we were like, all these characters are stupid. The kids are dumb, the fucking adults are stupid. In fact, the kids are the worst part of the movie. They got this fat kid, and then they got this girl in the movie, and they become Andy's friends. And they're both just annoying. And then they got like some kind of feminist agenda going on in this movie where the girl is just smart and all the guys are just dumb. She's the one who's getting everyone out of trouble, and the guys just keep fucking up throughout the entire movie. It's like, really? You're gonna throw some political propaganda into this shit? What's supposed to be a simple horror film? They got this boyfriend character in the movie. You know, the father left Andy and his mother, and so the mother just has a boyfriend in the film, and the boyfriend is just a stereotype. The boyfriend just smooches up to the mother while he's just a complete dick to Andy. And this is one of the reasons why Chucky becomes evil, because he's trying to protect Andy from what he perceives to be a threat. And that leads to one of the biggest problems with this remake, is that the reason Chucky is evil in this movie is because he was programmed to be that way. At one of these warehouses where they make these dolls in the intro of the movie, one of the workers or whatever was being harassed by his boss. And so, in order to get back at his boss, he took out the safety protocols in one of the buddy dolls. And that's why Chucky is able to think for himself in this movie. And he eventually becomes evil. Whereas in the original film, it actually made more sense because a serial killer used voodoo or whatever to project his soul into the buddy doll in the original film. And so Chucky was an actual person in the original, whereas in this movie, he's just a robot. He's just an evil artificial intelligence. And that does not work at all. Because there are things that Chucky does in this movie where it's like, how would he know how to do something like that? How smart is this technology that's in this children's doll? Why would they put that kind of technology in a children's toy? It doesn't make any sense. And if I compare this movie to Small Soldiers, which was a DreamWorks film that came out many years ago, this movie pretty much steals that movie's concept, but does it far worse than that movie did it. And there's so many dumb scenes in this movie. Like, they got this Jack Black lookalike in this movie, and he just ends up being some kind of creep. He has this elaborate camera system set up in his apartment, I guess, and he's been spying on Andy's mother through this camera system. And he finds Chucky or whatever and takes it home and tries to reprogram him. And then Chucky takes out his security system, and so the movie tries to go for a classic horror movie death scene in the movie where they play with the lights and everything. But it's so cliched to the point where it's just boring. This is late in the movie, so it's like I'm not engaged with any of the characters or anything. Then there's another scene, which I actually thought was probably the worst scene of the movie, where you have this mother character of a police detective who lives in the same apartment complex as Andy and his mother. The detective's mother gets into this car, and the car starts driving itself. And instead of doing the smart thing and getting out of the car, because why the hell would you get in a car that's just driving itself? Clearly there's something wrong if something like that is happening. But what does this bitch do in the movie? Oh, she starts acting like she's on a roller coaster ride. She thinks it's funny. She thinks it's a joke. She's having herself a good old time riding in a car that's driving itself, waving hi to pedestrians just on the sidewalk. And then it's revealed that Chucky is actually somehow controlling the car with his finger. I mean, this is how stupid the writing is in this movie. He's controlling an entire car that weighs thousands of pounds with his finger. How is he doing that? And this character had 3 different opportunities to get out of the vehicle, but doesn't. And to make it worse, this character is a black stereotype. She's just a loudmouth, ghetto black woman. It's like, I thought we moved on from those types of characters in Hollywood, but I guess not. And so long story short, Chucky crashes the car into another series of vehicles because they're in this parking lot. It's all dark out. The mother is all fucked up. She tries to get out of the car, but at that point, it's obviously too late, and Chucky takes her out. And then there's this later sequence in the movie where a bunch of parents and their kids go to this grand opening. It's the wide release of the rest of the Buddy dolls. The ones that are leaving the warehouse and have been shipped to be sold in mass production at retail. And so Chucky shows up to this grand opening or whatever, and he does the same thing that he did in the parking lot sequence. He uses his finger to program a bunch of the toys or whatever to start attacking people. And it turns into a fucking cartoon. You have small teddy bears in this movie dragging entire human bodies. Dragging them. None of the characters are smart enough to just run out of the goddamn store. Everyone's running in circles just getting slaughtered. And then, like, they have the police detective. He apparently gets killed by a toy airplane. A remote control airplane. Like, the movie is a fuck you at that point. And then he comes back at the very end of the movie, and he's the one who actually takes Chucky out. And it's like, you were dead like several scenes ago. So how are you still walking around? How are you still alive? And then Chucky has like teleporting powers in this movie. One moment he's in one specific location, and then the next moment he just warps right in front of the screen in a completely different location to where he was previously. And it's like, these things aren't new. These are typical tropes that you see in horror films. They even threw in a few jump scares in this movie. It's like, guys, it's 2019. They didn't even fucking try with this movie, dude. My friend and I were sitting in the damn theater, just pissed off that we wasted money to spend 2 hours just to sit in a dark movie theater to see this trash. Several times throughout the movie, my friend, he was on his phone trying to look up like different information on the film, because we wanted to know like what the fuck, who are the people behind this monstrosity of a film. You know, we searched up the screenwriter for this movie, and apparently this is the same guy who wrote Sleeping Dogs, the video game Sleeping Dogs, and Quantum Break. They got a fucking video game writer to write this shit. Why would you get a video game writer to write a remake to a classic horror film? Why would you do something like that? And it's like everyone was wasted in this movie. Even Mark Hamill, who voices Chucky in the movie. There was nothing spectacular or special or significant about his performance. The only good thing I can say about the movie is the kid who played Andy. You know, my friend and I could tell that he was actually trying, but it's like when you have material that's this bad, the actors can only bring so much to a bad script. And then we also searched up in the middle of the movie the box office performance of this. And this shit dropped in its second week by 78%, I believe it was. No one wanted to go see this shit. And the movie has a $10 million budget. So far, it's made $30 million. The production company behind this is fortunate that they chose to keep the budget so low, because if it was significantly higher, this movie would have bombed. The reviews for this movie haven't been good. They've been very below average, and they should have been a lot lower than some of the scores that I've been seeing. This movie was fucking terrible. It's like I said earlier, they didn't even fucking try to make a good movie, let alone a remake that stood up on the same level of quality as the original film. And if I compare this movie to the Halloween sequel that came out last year, that is far superior to this in every way, because they didn't change Michael Myers' character in that movie. The character that was in that movie, that was Michael Myers. The character in this movie, this isn't Chucky. The character in this movie is an imitation of Chucky. And the writing is so god-awful that, honestly, I wanted to leave the theater. But because I was with a friend, you know, we sat and we watched the entire thing through, and it was a waste of time. Honestly, I was angry walking out of that movie theater after seeing this shit. Anyway, that's what I got to say about the Child's Play remake. Hollywood, man, I don't know what it is. Horror is one of the easiest genres to make a movie out of. And you had a template from the original Chucky films. You had so many different examples of what to do and what not to do. And there's so many things, so many ideas that they tried with this movie that just don't work. They tried to pull another It or Stranger Things with these kids, and it's like it doesn't work for this movie at all. The fucking black kid in this movie is like, that's another fucking stereotype. He's a complete dick to Andy and he has this big ego. But as soon as the girl gets in his face, he turns into a little bitch. I could go on and on. But whatever, fuck this movie, man. I sincerely hope they don't make a sequel to this. I've seen enough Chucky for one lifetime.